Hello, welcome. Welcome everyone as you're joining us. Great. So this week we're doing a fairly broad coverage of Facebook. You can imagine trying to get through everything in an hour. We're going to be, rolling over topics, trying to cover things that are going to be useful to everyone who's watching this presentation and utilising the lesson, because we know that everyone's at different stages in terms of how they're using Facebook within their marketing. And where you should be by now. In week 5, you've done these lessons. Hopefully lots of you are going in each week, doing the review, completing the very simple quiz and hitting the complete button. And last week was a great lesson, wasn't it? With Fabi and looking at designing your website around your target market, looking a bit into the back end about what you'd typically expect from a good web developer with regard to content management systems and that digital stack. And then also you learned about local search, as in when consumers put in some parameters that will throw up geographically local businesses, and how to optimize the importance of optimizing your Google My Business listing, and also traditional search engine optimization. So I'm sure that many of you got some new knowledge out of that and some takeaways and actions. So we're up to our second last presentation out of this program. And what we're going to, I'll just remind you, of course, that we're recording the workshop and you'll have the content, all the content in the lesson that I'm going to be stepping through is available in your course now. Keep using the Q&A functionality, chat your ideas, share with others. Remember to, when you do a chat, if you'd like others who are listening to this presentation to see your tips that you're sharing or questions you're asking, share that, do that chat to everyone. And we will hang back for the time required to answer your questions, about 15 minutes at the end. And I'll just remind people that the next live coaching support call is next Tuesday, the 9th of March, 12 noon, Australian Eastern Standard or Queensland time. So if you would like to attend that with your Facebook questions or questions from last week, then I encourage you to do that, because we can break out into breakout rooms with various coaches who specialise in different areas. So this is what we're covering today. So we're going to have a look at the role of Facebook in your business, because strategically as well as functionally, Facebook changes quite rapidly. We're going to look at establishing a professional brand image on Facebook, so doing a Facebook page review and how to optimize that. Important back-end settings, getting results, putting in place a simple strategy for Facebook, creating content that engages your audience, because that's what it's all about, helpful tools and pre-scheduling to save you time, a little bit about images and video best practice, and optimizing interactions, making the most of your audience chatting back to you, and collaborating for growth. So this isn't an we're not going into the real nitty gritty of how to use Facebook, how to do a post. However, that, if you feel that you need some of those real basics, then that's a great thing to do, is to book a one-on-one coaching session. And also to come along to our live coaching call, so that you can get into that real nitty gritty. Okay, let's pop over into the lesson. So I've been through what we're going to be covering, but I'd just like to point out to you the materials tab here. The handout that you've got here is very practical. So when I talk about your Facebook page makeover, you've got all the dot points in there. When we talk about the strategy, that's there. We're also going to refer to some of these other exercises here as well. So make sure you download that Word document as part of reviewing the lesson. I'll tell you what we're not covering in this lesson is we're not going into the detail of Facebook advertising. We do that as a standalone lesson in Bizkeeper 202, and also the optimization of Facebook Messenger is covered in Bizkeeper 202. I will reference both of these though and just give you a few pointers on it. The other thing I would like to remind you of is in the course library that you have access to for 12 weeks of this program, you can find lessons on imagery and video. So where we talk about imagery and video and you want more information about that and some tips on that, you can access those lessons there. Great. So let's have a look at the first topic, which is the role of Facebook in your business. So we've got some stats here to share with you. I'm sure you're already aware that it is the most active or most engaged social media platform in the world. We've got 15 million active monthly users in Australia. And you can see these other stats here. So you can see just, how many account holders they are and how much it's utilised. What I want to get to in a minute is why people are using Facebook and therefore what the relevance is for businesses. Where we're seeing growth is in videos. So Facebook videos continue to get more usage, more engagement than still images. And the other place that I've seen a lot of growth over the last few years, looking at these stats, is in the number of business pages on Facebook. So it's really become a basic business tool for all businesses, is to have a Facebook business page, a bit like having a telephone listing online. You just have to be there. What's interesting though is to reflect on the changes in the age groups using Facebook. What we've seen is that younger people, and I'm sure you're aware of this if you have younger people working with you, or you might be young yourself, but you're not using it in the same way that older people use Facebook. So we've seen the preferences for younger audiences going to Instagram, to TikTok, Snapchat, that sort of faded off a fair bit now. However, they are still using it for messaging. If they don't message in Instagram, and now of course they've now Instagram and Facebook, because Instagram is owned by Facebook, has just done a recent change now of you can cross message between Instagram and Facebook people in your messages list. But what they will use it for certainly is to look at Facebook business pages when they're considering a business, and they might leave a review on Facebook. So they're still going there, but they're not using it in the same ways. And what we have seen is that users 65 years and older is the fastest growing age group on Facebook. So if this is a market for you, then you should definitely be paying attention to Facebook in a marketing sense. So you can see the key demographics there. So all age groups are represented, but bear in mind they're using it in different ways. But what's the main ways in which Facebook is used? It's to connect and share moments and news with family and friends. 88% of people say this is their main reason for using Facebook. Connecting with like-minded people on specific areas of interest and participating in groups. Facebook groups, sharing photos and videos, searching for products, services and information, and messaging personal contacts and businesses, and that instant messaging to businesses going on to their business page is using the live chat essentially that is available to them. If you're responding in a pretty interactive way, then that's another big growth area on Facebook. And of course, shopping as well. Hands up, have you ever bought anything on Facebook? Great, lots of hands going up there. So it's just becoming a place to shop, isn't it? So it's just part of our life now. The thing now is for us as marketers in our own business or business managers or owners is to get into the right headspace and understand how we really can utilize it for our businesses. Where's the benefit? Hands up if you feel like you are posting on Facebook, but you really don't feel like there's any business benefit coming through. And you are not alone. And what we have seen is a real depletion in organic posting engagement over the last nearly 2.5 years since the last major algorithm change. And so we've got to really understand how we do get benefit. We don't want you to be wasting your time doing it. One of the first things I'll share with you, and you can come and have a read of this, is there is a social media mindset. And I think you've probably all got this now because it's been with us for so long. These are the things I would say that we need to, and you might have some other thoughts as well on this. How do you get yourself into a social media mindset for your business? Is to embrace the continual change of Facebook. So we just know it's going to keep changing. I went looking for something this morning before this lesson presentation to go, oh, I just want to make sure that's still working. No, it's changed. So I'm like, right. So that's changed within a couple of weeks. So it's just always changing. So we just have to accept that, and that keeps us on our toes. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. Drivers of change. Those of you who like to think big picture, this is good for you to think about that the user's personalization. The user is really conditioned to anticipating content that is relevant to them as an individual. So that's something we've really got to think about with our content. Mobile usage, 98% of active user accounts worldwide access Facebook via any kind of mobile device or mobile phone. Video posts get at least 59% more engagement than other post types and outperform photo posts by 73%. Groups, 40% of marketers view private communities as top social trend to prioritise in 2020, 2021. Messaging, more than 20 billion messages are exchanged between businesses. So there's some drivers of change that we're seeing reflected in the trends. So how can your business benefit from Facebook? I think it's these particular areas. One is a really professional brand image on Facebook, given its importance for the consumer or your customers, if they're business to business, to jump over to your Facebook page. I bet most of you have got your Facebook business page linked from your website. If not, you should have, because you never know exactly what channel your customers will come through. When they jump onto that Facebook page, we want them to get a great professional impression of what it is you do, and communicate that very clearly to your ideal customers. And we don't want your page to be a ghost town. We want to see some recent posts there, some activity on it. Nurture loyalty, past customers, present customers. This is a great platform for engaging them and engendering loyalty and customer retention. Collaboration. There's plenty of opportunity to collaborate with supply partners, regional partners, others in your industry or destination, and support them, they support you. You've got that opportunity through sharing posts. You've also got it through Facebook groups. And this is where our niche Facebook community comes into play. So it's an opportunity for collaboration. You are all experts in your field. What is your business? What's your expertise? What Facebook groups should you be participating in and contributing? We'll revisit that thought before the end of the presentation. And then sales and campaigns. There is no doubt about it that now, if you're going to seriously use Facebook and get the most benefit from it, you will not only think of it as a standalone platform for my professional brand image and nurturing loyalty and doing posts and, you're not going to think of it that way. You're going to think of it as really integrated into your marketing, key messages that you're trying to get out of there, a tool to use when you're scheduling campaigns, running specials. So then we think of it as very much an ads platform and the role it plays there. And whilst we aren't going into the detail on Facebook ads, what I can tell you are these things. It is a long game. It's not something you're going to throw one campaign up there and Bob's your uncle and you're going to get loads and loads of conversion, and we'll do that again next time. You could get lucky and you could get your messaging, your audience targeting, which is its main strength, set up the technical aspects of it really well, set up the whole flow going onto a great landing page. You could get all of these aspects really right the first time. And I would say that's fantastic if you do. However, it is a learning experience. Even when you're working with a professional ads person, we do for our campaigns, we learn something every time in terms of getting our messaging right, getting the eye-catching image or graphic right to catch people's attention and get the messaging right. But it's definitely worthwhile. But it is a long game, and working with a professional to start with is a very good place to start. And on that point, given that a lot of people who are fairly advanced on the organic free side of using Facebook, if you are ready to jump into ads, it's another area we can guide you to Lee, who helps us, and he's happy to do a complimentary 15-minute consult with you to just give you a bit of guidance on where you might start. So I'll just flag that for those of you watching this. So let's move on to the next topic, which is about establishing your professional brand image, because that's one of the important ways in which you need to use Facebook as a business. What I've given you here, and this is in your handout as well, is top tips to do a makeover of your page. So it's these things here. So you can just go through the checklist and do it. Quality cover image. So this is your prime real estate. Now, I'm going to be showing you throughout this presentation examples. There's a range of examples here. I know that there's a range of business types that you will have. Majority are in the tourism holiday park space. However, some of you are tech companies, some of you are offering caravan repairs and sales, and a few other niches in there. So don't be too concerned when you look at these examples. All of the strategy is relevant to you. And when it comes to when we talk about doing great posts for engagement, I've got some inspiration, especially for those of you who are more on that repairs sort of side, a little bit more leaning to construction, or that more mechanical side, just to share with you. So I'm sure that you'll find that useful. But when we think about our cover image, this is the prime real estate. It's the first thing people see. You want to have a really great image. This image here for this cruise company was developed in Canva. Now I'll refer to canva.com. Hands up if you use canva.com now. Lots of hands going up. If you don't know what I'm talking about, canva.com, we're going to do a demo of it in the Instagram lesson next week to create an Instagram story, and you'll see the power of it. It's a wonderful free graphic design tool that anyone can learn to use. So you want a schmick image, and you don't want to keep that the same. You want to change it with seasons or campaigns you're running. Here's another example here. It's apartments on the Gold Coast. But don't you love it that it's not a picture of the apartments? It's a picture of their target market. It's the experience that they enable. Same with this one here. What are the experiences that you enable? That's what you need to think about when it comes to that cover image. And think about the different, you could use video, you could use a slider of images, you could use one great image, maybe a bit of a montage like this. So we've given you lots of tips here. When you're doing an image, make sure that, and you could all do this as a little exercise, is when you click on your image and you're an admin of the page, put a description in that image, put a link to your website or to your campaign. Otherwise, that's missed opportunity. If people click on that image, they make it easy for them to get to your website, because largely as business people, that's the main commercial benefit, or one of the main commercial benefits we'll get, is people coming from Facebook onto our website. And we've given you a bit of information there about using a video in your cover image. Quality brand image. So this is your profile image. Have you got a really nice crisp logo in there, or a signature image? So we've given you a bit of information there. Make sure you've got a unique page username. So giving you some ideas on, I told you how to access that. Great if it's the same as your Instagram. account as well, your username there. Something to think about is videos and image collections. So you, I'm sure, have lots of photos. If I click on photos on your page, start putting them into albums as you're uploading them, because that's a great user experience. When they click on your photos to get an idea of what you're about, you've got them in categories. It's just really nice to be able to show where your niches are, what it is you're expert in. You can do the same thing with playlists for videos as well. So it just puts them into collections, which is really great for the user. And you can see some examples there on Tourism Tribe's page. Review your page template and tabs, which you'll get to from your page settings. So make sure you've got all the best ones for your business. Pin important posts to the top of your page's timeline. And I know that some of you have done that. I've had a sneaky look at some of your Facebook pages and could see that you had pinned posts. So that's a great thing to do, particularly where the marketplace is changing with COVID and borders are opening and shutting, etc., where you've got a great campaign running. So that we show you how to do that there. So they're the main points, but you've got that exercise in your handout as well. Okay, let's move on to the next topic, which is important back-end settings. I'm going to remind you here of a few things. One that we covered in lesson 1, which is safe password management. Really important with Facebook. I don't want to find out that you've been locked out of your Facebook account or it's been compromised, hacked. So safe password management is definitely something you want to practice for your, and include a very complex password for your Facebook log on. Set up your page roles as well. So always have 2 page admins. If something happens and you do get locked out of your account, you won't be able to access your business page and manage it, post to it, etc. So always have a second admin. Then you can assign other roles like editors, moderators, advertisers, etc., to other people who need to access the page. You may have heard of these websites and apps. So Facebook Business Manager and Business Suite. If you've not set up either of these before and you go to your Facebook page, you are likely to be prompted to say, set up Business Suite now. It's a good thing to do. What the Business Suite is it's an app for desktop and your phone, and it brings together some of the functionality, and this is a fairly recent change, which is why I'm mentioning it. It brings together some of the functionality that we can get benefit from as a business. Like you can easily get to your insights to see some, the analytics about your posts and users of your content and page. You can get to pre-scheduling, which is now in Creator Studio. It got moved about a year ago off the actual posts, that you can't pre-schedule them anymore. You have to go to Creator Studio, and you can also get to your inbox to be able to respond to messages. So they're 3 of the things they've moved into Business Suite, and it's available on your phone. So you download Business Suite as an app, or it will prompt you when you go log in onto your page on your phone. And then Business Manager is great if you are doing Facebook advertising. It gives you more security. You can use a particular sort of corporate used credit card there, which is a big advancement on from not in previously many businesses, they were just individuals were using their credit cards, and it was a real nightmare if ads didn't get turned off and that staff member left, and it was just a dog's breakfast. So these things are definitely worth switching on. But if you haven't got either, I expect that your page will prompt you, is what we've seen, to set up Business Suite, and you should do that. But there's some more information there for you in these links here. Let's move on to the next lesson, which is about getting results and implementing a simple strategy. And what we start with here, because it's an important part of strategy, is to know how you're tracking now. How are you going now? I always say with strategy, and I did not come up with this concept, but I always advise people on it. When you're developing any strategy, you want to know where you are now, set some goals about where you want to get to, and then the strategies within that strategy are how you're going to get there. So an important part of that is knowing how to measure your return on investment on Facebook. You know, how am I going to measure that? How do I know how I'm tracking? What are kind of the standards in terms of business using Facebook? Now, you've probably heard the terms reach and impressions. They're common terms that we use on social media, and we use them. It's great for organic, to be able, so organic meaning the free post, to see how they're tracking. And the reason that measuring organic, yes, you'll get some great statistics if you run paid ads on Facebook about how many people are actually seeing the ad and clicking through on the ad, etc. But why is it good to get better at organic? Because you will then improve, you will do better at your ads, because what you'll work out is the sorts of images, video, and messages that resonate with your audiences. So reach and impressions, the reach is basically the number of unique people who see your content in their news feed. Now, it's not everyone, it's who the algorithm decides to show it to. And the impressions are the number of times that your content was displayed in news feeds or on your page. So your impressions are always going to be higher than your reach. And these things work together to create, if you get great reach, lots of impressions, and you get engagement, that people actually, comment, like, share. This is a dynamic that drives overall engagement and means that you can measure the success of your posting and your content. An exercise for you to do as homework is to go into your page and go to your insights, which you can do on your phone or you can do it on desktop, and have a look at the posts. So you'll go to your posts and see which ones have had the most engagement and the most reach, and click on those. Go and have a look at them. Do a bit of analysis. What do you think that's telling you? What is it that you think has worked about that post? And sometimes it can surprise you when you do this exercise. And really have a look at that. And just be aware, and I've explained that in here, that you can actually change what you're looking at up here under this little blue arrow as to what is being displayed. You can also click post hides of all posts. That's sort of like negative engagement, where people don't want to see that from you or don't want to see anything from you. And hopefully that's negligible, and I'm sure it is. So there you can get a feel of what's working for you, and you know what these terms mean to make up engagement. Because engagement is where it's at. The algorithm change of over 2 years ago, what Zuckerberg, Mark Zuckerberg, I'm sure you know who he is, who owns Facebook and started Facebook, engagement became the driver. So if a post got lots of engagement, particularly conversations where people, started talking back to the person who did the post, or back to the page who did the post, or tagged another user and said, hey, check this out, or I like the look of this. If that conversation was started, the algorithm was pinged and said, hey, they're engaging with this. We want Facebook to be a platform where people actually communicate with each other. It's not just one way. That immediately put pressure on us as businesses to understand how to do engaging posts. And that's why we talk a lot about engagement in your strategy. And the other thing to be aware of is that with that algorithm change, immediately with that, what happened was business page posts, your posts as a business, ours, would get less momentum through the algorithm. So we were kind of put on the back foot compared to personal posts. This is a diagram that we use for both Facebook and Instagram, simple strategies. So engaging content is the baseline of it, getting those content themes right. And I'll talk about the different ways of doing that in a sec. So having a balance in your posts, I'll talk about that, and a schedule that's relevant to what's happening now in seasons and campaigns. So that's the keys to engaging content. Consistency is critically important. Many of you have probably experienced this. We hear it all the time. It's really easy to go hot and cold on social media. You'll get distracted, particularly if it's just one person. It might be you who's doing it in the business. You can get easily distracted by operational urgent things, and so you go hot and cold. One week you might post every day, the next week you mightn't post at all, or you go on holidays, you finally get that break and it just goes quiet. The algorithm isn't very kind to you when you do that. So you definitely need to be consistent. Aiming for at least 4 times per week daily if you can. But I'm going to be really realistic here and say that if you're really struggling with your time, then, looking at pre-scheduling, trying to do 4 posts a week if you really want to get the benefit, or what you can do, but be consistent. And be consistent on your content themes. Collaboration is really important on Facebook. Customer servicing through Facebook Messenger is really important. So making sure you respond to those messages. Go into your settings and go to automated responses in your messages. You can get to it from your inbox from your page. It's an easy way to get to it. Go to automated responses, set those up. It's a great thing to do to encourage conversation through Messenger. And you can set up away messages as well. And then sales, so promotional organic posts, deals for your followers, and Facebook ad campaigns. So we explain those in a bit more detail down here. So that's a simple strategy which anybody can adopt and give you a bit more focus and set some goals. The next topic I would like to talk to you about is the really important topic of creating content that engages your audience. First thing in here is to be clear on your unique selling proposition. How many of you, could you please put up your hand, and you might even like to quickly type into the chat your unique selling proposition. If you have a very clear unique selling proposition, it's like your 1 or 2 sentence pitch that if I met you at a networking event, and I hope I do in the near future, and I say, so tell me about your business. Why should I do business with you? That you're really, really clear on that. This is really important in all of our marketing. Introduce it here because, really this is such a strong marketing topic on Facebook. It's important for all of your marketing. When you've done your personas that we spoke about in the previous lessons, your unique selling proposition will have started to drop out of those, because that's about that value, that genuine value that you give to your ideal customers. And we include an example of a USP here. So I'm sure there's lots of chats coming through with your unique selling proposition. So that's fantastic. And if you haven't actually got one that you're really happy with at the moment, the way to do it is really think about those personas and that real value that you give to people. Put down dot points of what that is, and then what are the top 3 things that combine to uniquely combine to separate you from your competitors. And that's a great thing to do, because once you do that, then I want you to think about your content themes. Now you'll hear this language, content themes, because when we think about Facebook, it doesn't, like I said earlier, it's not necessarily just a standalone channel for you. You've got to think about your marketing overall. And in the digital age that we're marketing in, content is absolutely key. So coming up with content themes that support your unique selling proposition, that really reflect on those things that you are an expert in, the really key things you deliver to your customers, the areas of interest that you have that are relevant to your audience. These content themes then play out through content on your website. You're covering those things on your website. Maybe they'd make great blog posts, and then also into your schedule for social media posts. And there's a great opportunity for you, all of us, is say if you write a blog post, there's potentially 8 Facebook posts in that blog post. So reusing the content. Use that, point to that blog post with an excerpt in your next email newsletter that you send out. So we think about the way to reuse content. So establishing content themes is a real kind of platform to do that. So these are very sort of hospitality type themes that many of you will relate to, and these are typical standard ones. Now, those of you who are in repairs or selling caravans or the tech companies, they're going to look different than these, but you can see as the example here that it's great to list down what would be relevant to your business, your audience, and then narrow it down to about, say, 5. And then you become consistent with coming up with your ideas for posting and keeping consistent on those content themes. In your Word document that you're downloading for today, you'll see that we've got that exercise in here for you. Start it here. We've done a little diagram for you. So put your unique selling, get onto a whiteboard, butcher's paper to do this, and then map out your content themes. Oh, that's annoying. That just decided to disappear on me. But map out your content themes and then the ideas for topics that would come from that. So it's a great exercise we do in workshops that we've shared here in this handout that will be useful for you, so you can see the map there. Now, the other thing in terms of engaging content is about balance in your posts. What we have seen, what we've seen in the past, probably up until the last couple of years, is a lot of us have tended to sort of stick on one type of post, which kind of announcement type posts about our business. They're probably in that kind of dream stage, thinking about the purchase cycle, that kind of inspiration stage when we think about the purchase cycle, as opposed to taking the opportunity to provide posts that are in the planning or education stage. What about posts that really invite people to engage with your business, given engagement is so important? And what about sell posts where you are wanting to promote to people, to your loyal followers? And I'm talking about organic sales posts here, not going into the ads platform and running a campaign. So this diagram here is a good rule of thumb that still stands up and gives people just some guidance in terms of, okay, well, I'm mostly posting about, things that are going on that are kind of inspirational, entertaining posts. That's great, but how could I mix it up, get some diversity into it so my content becomes even more valuable? So you'll reflect on those content themes. What could I do in terms of planning or education posts? Those of you who are into selling caravans, caravan repairs, the tech companies, other niches, great space for you to play in here, as well as those of you who've got holiday parks, because you can provide some great educational posts and then invite people to the conversation. What can you do to invite people to talk back to you? Are there questions you can ask them? What's the ideas you can elicit from them? And then just 10% selling posts. I'm going to show you here some tourism hospitality examples, and then I'm going to flick over to something else just to give you something completely different for different industry types, because I want you to see how we can apply these strategies regardless of what type of business we are. It's a great example here, Rainbow Beach Horse Rides. They've been using Facebook really well for years and years and years. And you can see here a great example of a dream post. Why is it a great dream post? It's entertaining, it's inspirational. Look at the beautiful image and the colours. A plan post. Love this example from a hotel in South Australia. They've used Google Maps Google My Maps, beg your pardon, to be able to create an itinerary on Google My Maps of their suggested four-wheel drive camper caravan itinerary up through South Australia. I love that post, such a great educational post. And what about this one for inviting engagement? Mount Barney Lodge, terrific users of Facebook for a long time, and where they've asked their followers for their input on a new adventure program that they're running very soon. They very quickly got all this engagement, 217 engagements of likes and loves, and 59 comments and 8 shares. And that's incredibly valuable, isn't it, for triggering off that reach. And then a sell post example here from Jetty Road Retreat in Victoria, where she's inviting her audience to come and stay, and click book now to secure your room with a view. Mention in this post in the comments field when you book direct, and we'll throw in a breakfast hamper to enjoy on the deck. So that's a really nice example of doing something for your audience on Facebook and using, leveraging that audience and making the most of that other posting work that you've done. And I want to show you something else here. Let me just flick and find it. I thought this was really good. I found this Crops Caravan Services. Now, as far as I could tell, looking at the list of participants, they're not in the program. But I really liked what they're doing here with just being it's all about authenticity and being very real. And another great end to the week, carrying out a service and a few minor repairs on Ron's caravan. So just telling the story, keeping it real. And for repairers and where you're interacting with your customers, it's a great opportunity, as some of your posts. A bit of education here. We had a van come in today with a fridge issue. It wouldn't run on 12 volts. After inspection, we found the 12 volt control board burnt out, replaced it, good as new. So just telling stories. And they're getting some really good engagement. Look, 2 comments, 6 shares, 7 shares, 14 reactions. Considering they've got a small audience, they've got a lot of engagement, and that's what it's about. Don't fret if you don't have a big audience. That will grow organically over time. You can run campaigns once you get more confident with your organic posting to grow that audience, but aim for the engagement. Another thing to show you here, just to provide some inspiration to you, Rob McVie is a gentleman who has successfully, very quickly grown an earth-moving accessories attachments business, and we interviewed him. I'm going to play this video for you, and just tell me if for any reason you can't hear the sound, because I think it's worth listening to his story about how what he does to be able to use Facebook. Because when you think earth moving, you may think, how do they make use of Facebook?
We're a construction attachment business that support local earth moving and the construction industry. For us, it's connecting up with that customer, being able to obviously connect them with Facebook and Instagram. The content's a powerful thing. If you consistently give content, people will start following. If we do a 60 seconds at EAA, which is it's actually not about our business, it's about their business. So we'll take the time to go out and see our clients and actually have a chat about what they do. It's everyday uploading something different. You haven't got to pay for it. Use those tools to your advantage, I think. So we'll do a personalized video to every customer we do a quote to. We run that through a system called See It Now. So we literally, the client will call, we'll do a quote, then we'll actually send them a personalized video link to their phone number. Where they open that, they can see the product on the shelf or in the store. If people believe that you're genuine, you're there to support them, which we are as a business at EAA, you will get the reward. So it's consistency of social media, consistency of support to customer. Business is very simple. Do what you say you're going to do, and do it, and then people will pass that on to other people, and then phones will start ringing. We feel it's a very simple methodology.
So I hope that provided a few other examples, different industries, and I love Rob's approach. You will find what's right for you in terms of your content. Start with your content themes, think about the balance in your posts, and then stick with it. And that's really what he's done. When we interviewed him over time, he's tried different things and then he's found what works. He's stuck with it and he's been really consistent. Okay, let's move on and have a chat about helpful tools and pre-scheduling. So now you're on the way to creating a bit more strategy around your Facebook presence and how you're going to make use of it, being consistent with your content themes and your content and having balance. You might also be going, I think I want to pull my hair out. How am I going to get time to do all of this? That's something I really struggle with. And we hear that all the time from our clients is the time pressure. So I'm going to share with you a couple of our favorite tools for taking away some of that time pain for you. The first one is our tool, and I know some of you already have this, which is our social superhero calendar. And this is a brilliant tool that provides 24 months worth of daily post ideas. You can wrap your content themes into it. So you've got 2 years, you can follow what's presented, you can randomize them, you can dump some, keep others, and it's all in a really clever spreadsheet. And you can post to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And what we've done is we've spread them out with that 30, 30, 30, 10% for dream, plan, engage, and sell, that structure. So that's our social superhero calendar. That was something that we, and I say we, but really it was Fab working with a fabulous Excel, like Fabi is amazing at Excel and what she can do, but we engaged like super Excel engineer, aeronautical sort of standard in the States to actually really soup it up for us. So you get your own spreadsheet and this works for you functionally. So you can click on that link in there and head over there. And yes, we have a price on that of $69, but I think you'll probably save that in the first week of using it. And we have really good feedback on that. So that takes a lot of the sting out of the tail. Besides the time, it takes away that pain of, I don't know what to post, what am I going to post about, because it throws up these ideas for you. So if you can plan out, do a little bit of planning, that takes away a lot of the pain and time issue for you by having a week's worth of posts planned and then sitting and pre-scheduling them. You might pre-schedule 80% of your posts, another 20% might just happen because things happen around the business in your location. That's awesome. But where you can pre-schedule, it does help a lot. There are lots of different pre-scheduling third-party tools, and you've probably heard of some of them, like Hootsuite, for example, but there is Creator Studio on Facebook. So you've got the link to it there, and I encourage you to go and explore that because you can pre-schedule, put a time on it that you want to post to either Facebook or Instagram from Creator Studio, and that is included in the Business Suite app, or just get to Creator Studio from your app, from your page. And if you go to your Facebook page and go to Publishing Tools, which we explain here in the menu, you can then click on Creator Studio. So if you don't have Business Suite, that's how you'll get to Creator Studio. So that's a real time saver for people. I'd now like to say a little bit about images and video because it's a super important part of being successful on Facebook and Instagram. And that's because images communicate so quickly rather than words, and video is far more engaging. But when it comes to photos, the photos that perform best, so bear this in mind, are photos with eyes in them. So opportunities to post images of people, people's faces, animals' faces. You could be doing posts of you with a customer. You could, it could be local fauna, you know, where where are the faces in your business? And we find it, Emily, who does a lot of the Tourism Tribe social media, she finds that the posts that perform best are those where we've actually got people's faces in them. And because people, it's what people connect with. So the other things are animals, nature, and food. And I mentioned to you that we have we have an imagery course that you have access to for, you've got a total of 12 weeks for this program of being able to get to the course library. So go and have a look at that, but have a read of our tips here about what makes a good photo. And you can see some of those things there. So the other thing to be aware of is getting creative with canva.com. So we're going to show you building a story, an Instagram story in Canva next week. So Emily, who is great with Insta, is going to take you through that. So you'll see that happening live. But it's important, I think, to consider it's not always photos that you're going to post. You are going to look for other ways to tell that message. And using Canva is a great way to do that. You can start with a photo and then you can just embellish it, but you can also build a lovely set of templates in Canva that you use for post messages as well, to put a message on them. We've got a little bit of information here about what makes a great video as well, an example here for you. I think really importantly, images, we want them to be of a really great quality. We want them, it's fine for them to be real, particularly when they've got people in them. We don't want them to be pixelated or too overexposed, too light, etc. So we've got some tips there for you on that. But what makes a great video on Facebook? A real video and a real short video. So you can keep it very real. No one expects you to be a professional videographer. It's about telling a story about what's happening now and keeping it nice and short. So we've given you an example here from Rainbow Beach Horse Rides and a few tips there as well. If you are going to post a longer video on Facebook, you want to, say if it's 3 minutes long, which is pretty long, you want to set it up first. Tell people what you're going to tell them, do the video, and then conclude. You've got to be really engaging at the beginning, because it's very easy to lose people very quickly on video. Practice, 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 and then you might try doing live videos after you've practiced. Let's have a chat about optimizing interactions and what's covered in this topic in the lesson. So the key thing we're trying to convey here is that when you do get people talking back to you, you really want to maximize that opportunity, because remember, the algorithm is responding to and pushing posts to more people when the engagement is good, and the engagement the algorithm loves the best is people talking to each other. So where you do get a reply, make sure, and I'm sure many of you are doing this now, make sure you're straight onto it to respond. You're going to have notifications flowing through onto your phone. Make sure that in your phone setup you've turned on notifications for your Facebook app, because you want to know when they come through, and jump in there and respond straight away. And practice. If it is a recommendation comment, then that's great. Treat it like a review. Make sure that you respond with the best practice we talked about in the online reputation. Keep it personable. Use people's names as well with the positive comments back. Sometimes the people are pinging each other and you're not part of the conversation. That's fine. Stay out of it. Let it go. But if they are looking for you to engage in it, or it's appropriate to, then definitely respond. So monitor and manage your inbox. So your inbox is the easiest way to get to these messages. This sort of functionality has moved a bit. So having a look at your inbox, downloading Facebook Business Suite, getting familiar with that, easy to access your inbox from there. And you'll be able to manage messages and interactions both from Facebook and your Instagram account there. The other thing to do is, where people have liked a post but they haven't liked your page yet, and is to invite them to like your page. So on your posts, going back over your recent posts and hovering over to see who has liked or loved the post, clicking on that list of people, you'll be given the option to invite them to like your page, which is a great thing to do to get more page likes. So that's another piece of low-hanging fruit. Those of you who haven't done that can go and do that for your recent posts. And the last topic in this lesson is about collaborating for growth. So this is another key part of the strategy that, you know, when we looked at that pyramid, isn't it? So how can you collaborate on Facebook to have a stronger industry, to have a stronger destination if you're in the tourism space? What is it you can be doing to support other local businesses when they post, liking, following, commenting? In your posts, you can tag other businesses. So you might be referring to other businesses and saying what a great job they do. When you do this kind of mutual support, you will all become stronger on Facebook, and that's why we encourage it. Also look for local and niche Facebook groups in your is there a local destination Facebook group that you can participate in, play your part and answer visitor questions? What special areas of interest is your business in? So if you're in that manufacturing side or selling caravans or whatever it is you're in, there will be Facebook groups that are relevant for you to participate in, and certainly local area business groups that you want to be part of. So there's an exercise here that I want to make sure that you are aware of, and I'd love it if you do it, is to take action now and some steps you can take to be a collaborative leader on Facebook. So what pages are you following now as your business page? So you can have a look at that by putting this URL in to your browser. So facebook.com, your page name, and then news_feed. And this will show you all the pages you're following as your business and their latest posts. So you can go and interact with them and support them. If you're not following any other business pages as your page at the moment, you don't know how to do that, we've given you the steps to do that here. And then plan a post that is about a local business or includes a reference to another local business or somebody else in your industry who you support. You use the @mention tag in your caption that notifies them that the post is there and hopefully encourages them to respond. You might even give them a phone call beforehand and say, hey, I'm going to do this, so that they jump on there and respond. You know, get that interaction and engagement going. You don't know how to @mention tag in your caption, we explain how to do that here as well and what that looks like. So that brings me to the end of the presentation, just on the hour. I've stepped through pretty much all of the content in here. I can see that there have been lots and lots of chats, which I haven't been watching. So I've just been focused on presenting the content. What sort of things have people been sharing, Fab?
Someone's asking your advice on changing cover image regularly. I was saying that it would be ideal maybe to think about seasonality to keep the cover image up. But when you do change your cover image up, keep in mind that it creates something in your feed. So if you decide to change it 5 times, there'll be 5 new images in your feed. And unless you check, it's not going to look very nice. So when you change your cover image, make sure you add a description, because it does appear in people's feed. And if you change it five times, hide it from your feed. But definitely think about seasonality if that's something you work with, and that would be a good way to remind yourself to change it. Or maybe when you do your BAS, that might be another way to think about updating your picture on Facebook. There's been a few more questions coming up. Someone's asking, and I don't know the answer to that one, but I did Slack our team to ask, what video editing software do we recommend for social?
Oh, Hannah is on to a new one, which she really likes, is veed.io, veed.io. I'll just
like video.
as in veed.io. I'll put that into the chat. She's been using it. She just mentioned it to me this morning, actually, about the functionality, and she really likes it. Because there are quite a few. So that's one that Hannah uses all the time, who does a lot of our video content. Like, she edited down that video that I played for you of Rob McVie talking. So she's got some really good skills, and she's finding this really good.
And I'm just looking at it now for pricing to give people an idea. You can do free for 10 minutes and under 50 meg. It's going to have a watermark. Otherwise, $16 Australian a month on an annual payment, or otherwise it's $24 Australian a month for the basic subscription.
And I trust that one because Hannah's using it so much. Right. So the other thing is to use, if you're a Mac user, you can use iMovie. You can, go back to basics. And I really like, I'm an Apple user, and I really like iMovie on my phone. Take the video with your phone, then edit it on your phone. And I actually feel I've got very limited video editing skills, but I find that quite intuitive, and there's plenty of ways in which you can learn how to do that.
Narelle's got a good question. She'd like any tips on not getting overwhelmed or burnt out from the constant replies questions. I'm quite sporadic with Facebook because I get to the point I need time out from it. And you need to think about, just like we talk about live chat, is people want to communicate with you the way they're comfortable with. So, we might prefer to talk to people on the phone, but people might like posting a comment is their way of communicating. So it's about finding ways to communicate with people on their terms. And if that's not you, you'll have to find someone in the business that can do it for you, because that is communicating in 2021. So if you're the bullet point person and not the fluffy person, you might have to find someone that can help you, or maybe give them your standard answers and they can fluff them up for you, and you can constantly reuse. But then another tip that we have is, if someone asks you questions on Facebook, go and add them to your FAQs on your website, your Google My Business FAQs and so on. So try to milk it 3 ways. Another question is, how can we tag people or page when we schedule content to be posted into the business page? So I'll leave that one for Liz.
Oh, sorry, I was responding to Braden. I'm going to have to go read that. Is it in the Q&A?
Yeah, it's in the Q&A.
There we go. How can we tag people or page when we schedule a content to be posted in business page? I'm pretty sure you can in Creator Studio. I can just jump in and test that. Let me just have a look. I'll just go have a look. And Braden just shared about Filmora as a video editing tool, and that's the one that we discovered was a good one to use in workshops for people who weren't on Apple. And he's using. But
it does work on Apple too.
Yes, but it's a good alternative, I think, if I've got that right. Mind you, it's
a
physical workshop.
It definitely was. I've just checked. Yeah, it works for both Mac and we might still have a handout we have created a few years back now, Liz, that we could connect.
Yes, yeah.
But it might have changed.
Yeah. I'm just having a quick look at Creator Studio.
While you do that, there was a question from Tanya asking, Creator Studio, Facebook Business Suite, am I right in saying we cannot schedule Insta on Business Suite? And I did a quick Google and I found that you actually can schedule Instagram on Business Suite at this stage, but things changing all the time, and Facebook not keeping you informed about what's changing might change again next month.
Creator Studio. I'm just going in there while you guys are talking. I'll work it out. Oh, discover the new Creator Studio. No, thanks. Not right at the moment.
So otherwise we can get back to Todd and all of you next week at the start of the Instagram session if we cannot get that.
Yeah, Instagram next week is great because it's very hands-on. We'll get Emily to take you through some of the new post types in Instagram, because a lot of the strategy is the same. It's so we want to make sure that you're aware of the new things there. Give me a business page name. Yep, I'm tagging. I put in the @mention, so I'll just share my screen in Creator Studio into pre-schedule, and I just put in the @mention. So let me just come back here. I'll quickly share my screen. This is the kind of thing we do in the live support calls, is actually, really jump in and physically just show. So I just went into create post and see I did the @ symbol, and I just started typing 1770, and up comes all of the different business pages that start with that name. So then I could go Agnes Watertown of 1770. This is a beautiful spot. Digital experts. And then see the publish down here. I'm just going to go schedule, and then I can put in a time here. Yep. Does that help? Hopefully that quick demo makes sense.
And someone's asking about a free site to download royalty-free music, which I've got, but I'm just trying to get into my 1Password, and it's not liking my finger identification at the moment. Let me see if I've bookmarked it in my bookmarks. Music. No, gonna have to bear with me until I can actually log in. I'll do the old school way. No, everything's decided to
just
slow.
Back to Narelle saying about the sense of overwhelm, which is the last thing we want to encourage. We want to take away the overwhelm. And Tanya has made a suggestion here that she shared with panelists is if you set it as a job to do, like pre-scheduling your posts, planning them out and pre-scheduling as a job to do at a certain time during the day, would that help with overwhelm? Or it could be, we recommend maybe it's Monday afternoon, or trying to find a sweet spot in your week that you can work on this for a couple of hours. Because it happens with everything, doesn't it? It can happen with your emails, whatever it is you're working on. We can get very distracted and just go after the urgent thing. And I know it's hard to do when we're quite creative and customer service people to do that.
And the music that we use normally comes from soundstripe.com. So I've just found it and I've pasted it in the chat for all of you.
Oh, I see what Tanya's saying, talking about the questions, people asking you questions over Facebook Messenger. Then I want you to have you set up, Narelle, your automated responses in Facebook Messenger, where you have your top 3 questions that people tend to ask you again and again. So have them triggering as frequently asked questions, where you have the automated response that automatically goes back to them with a link through to a specific page on your website, because that can take some of that interaction, the need for interaction away. You don't want to miss too many opportunities to talk to people, but if they're the same questions all the time, then that's an opportunity to engage them and get them onto your website. Thank you, everybody. It's a bit of a marathon rather than a sprint, that one. So now please go and have a read of the content, do the exercises, and let us know what came out of that for you. We'd love to know what are the things that you're able to action. So if you have the opportunity to provide that feedback to us through our feedback link that we share with you, that would be brilliant.
Wonderful.
Thank you, everybody. I'm glad that it was useful. Okay, thanks.
Bye.
See you next week. Bye.